Grace and peace, everybody. Grace and peace. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, so you know what we're about to do. Welcome back, everybody. It's Dear World Christian. I thank y'all so much for tuning in on this morning. Got a good show planned out for you. Hopefully, you're gonna have an enjoyable time. This one is gonna be one that I'm really gonna truly encourage you to go check out the description down below, because we've talked about a ton of things on previous shows, and I got a lot of information for you. So, for example, we were talking about why in the world did Biden make that proclamation on the day of T visibility on Easter Sunday? Well, there's actually and I said it, I feel like it was an affront to the Christian faith, and some people kind of push back, which is perfectly fine. I'm all good for the pushback. However, there's a link down in the description. An astute subscriber actually emailed me a conversation that Biden has been having with a Muslim imam. And it's pretty interesting. So the briefing is down in the description. You can definitely check that out. I think you'll find a lot of value in that. And also, I want you to check out down in the description as well, because the other day we talked about the Trump Bible, right? And no, it's not the Trump Bible. It's not his Bible at all. However, I was going to actually secure a copy of it, but Tim Wildsmith at the Bible Review YouTube channel, he already got one. He did a review of it. I'm not going to spoil it for you because I do want you to go check out his channel. He has a great channel if you're interested in just the understanding of the Bible, where the Bible comes from, how we got it, how we got the 66 books and not other books, and so on and so forth. And then if you're interested in, like, I wonder what this quality of this book is, Tim Wildsmith does a great job. You also know his name is Tim. I have another friend named Tim Frisch who does a very similar thing as well. So Tim Frisch did not do the Bible review. He said he didn't want to do it. He said, but by the way, Jason, Tim Wildsmith has already done it. It's down in the description. So if you were wondering about the Trump Bible, what it's like and all that kind of stuff like that, let's stop saying the Trump Bible. It's called the God Bless America Bible. If you're interested in the God Bless America Bible and kind of what the actual physical book looks like and what it feels like, and if you will, Tim Wildsmith did a really good review of it. So that's down in the description as well. And pretty much every article we're going to talk about in this today is going to be in there. So hopefully you'll check those out. Give him a shout out. There we go. Ski. There we go. Ski bro. There we go. Thank you so much. He had dropped the link to me on Biden's interaction with the Muslim imam. And it's kind of telling, man. Again, I left from there feeling even more like, yeah, that was on purpose. That was not on accident at all. But I digress. So shout out to you. Thank you so much. By the way, thank y'all so much for everybody stopping in and hitting that like button on the way in the door. Come on, that's how we do it here in the South. We're very kind and we're personable. Peace Baby's in the building. Now, Peace Baby's way down south because you're in the land down under. Rosemary's granddaughter, good to see you. Grace and peace. Thank you so much for liking the video. Thank you. There's my sister April in the building. Hey, by the way, April and I, Rick, and a couple other Christian content creators did a fantastic summary, if you will, or discussion about Candace Owens on Monday. It was fantastic. And was it Monday or Tuesday? It might have been Tuesday. Anyway, it's on her channel. So if April will drop the link down there, I think y'all will enjoy it. It was a great discussion just talking about the complexity of Candace Owens and being a Christian conservative and what's the difference and so on and so forth. And does Candace, can she speak on behalf of the Black community? Excellent conversation. So check that out. And by the way, I'm just letting you know ahead of time, there's going to be a lot more like that. So if you like that kind of content, large panel discussion, 6, 7, we call it Brady Bunch. If you like that Brady Bunch situation where there's like 9 people on the panel and stuff like that, you want to follow along because we're going to be doing that. And I got a little hint. I heard it from a little birdie. There's going to be some live ones of those kinds of conversations as well. I heard this guy has a studio and has opened up his studio to the Christian content creating community to come over every couple of weeks and just do live discussions in-house. Like, man, that's kind of crazy. So if you like that kind of stuff, definitely check it out. Thank you so much. And before we get too far afield, because I hate when I don't do it, so I really want to make sure I give a big shout outs to Manning, sent me a $15 Cash App. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. No comments, no, as they like to say, was it no comments, no questions, just for the love of the game. So I appreciate the $15 Cash App. It was very generous, and I appreciate you supporting the Fani Willis RICO Defense Fund. I appreciate that. As well as big shout outs to everybody who's supported me on Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you very much. I've gotten to 14 members on my Buy Me a Coffee, and I got 25 members on my YouTube channel. Thank y'all very much. I love it, and I'm feeling the support. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Your kindness, of course, and your generosity does not go unnoticed. I want to make sure I make much noise about that. As a matter of fact, I'll bring some more noise up in there because I want you to know that I really do greatly appreciate everything that y'all do, because not only do you like this content, not only are you watching the videos and commenting and sharing them, but hey, every now and then you say, let me bless your guy, because Fani Willis is going to probably bring him up on RICO charges. Because I found out, sadly, that Cobb County, and where I live, I thought I was safe, Cobb County does have extradition rights with Fulton County. So there's going to be that problem. So hopefully it won't come down to that, but we'll see. Let us go. Caustic chameleons in the building. Good morning. We all survived the storms and tornadoes of the day. So it's a good day for sure. Yes, there were tornadoes recently here in the South. And thankfully, it seems like the damage has been mitigated, but prayerfully everyone is okay. All right. And good to see you, Susie Q. And Q. Susie Q and Q. There we go. The Susie Q dynamic duo is in the building. Tawanda's here. Good to see you, sister. Grace and peace. I shouted out to you earlier, Ski Bro, but thank you so much for the message on Joe Biden. Thank you very much for that. D's in the building. Warm greetings to you all. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Susie. Here is the Bible review. Again, if you're interested in the God Bless America Bible and, kind of wanted to know some things, like I was disappointed. I have to admit, I was disappointed. There's some information that I thought I had understood about that Bible, and it wasn't true. So I was a little disappointed because I said, if it came this way, I would be okay with it. Remember I said that? And then I said, but if it's like this, I'm going to be problematic with it. Yeah, that's the problematic side. If you watch that video. Grace and peace. JT2000. Is that Tim in the building? There he is. Tim Moore. All right. Always good to see you. Shara's here. Good to see you. April. I had a blast as an understatement. That was such a fun conversation. I'm looking forward to us all being in the same place. That's going to be ridiculous. That's going to be ridiculous. Stay tuned, everybody. Stay tuned. Good morning, Discernment Files. Good to see you. Grace and peace. Yeah, the media did dub it the Trump Bible, and we have to stop adopting. Thank you so much. Shame on me. The media's fallacious names for things they're trying to castigate. It isn't helpful for knowing the truth. You're right. You're right. It's the God Bless America Bible. I still got some problems with it though, but the truth is the truth. And I thank you so much for that, Susie. I haven't seen the video of Biden and Imam. It's not a video. It's just, I dropped the link because I was going to do a whole segment on it this morning, Jade link. But we got a lot of stuff in the traps this morning. So I just left you the link so you can read it. It's what's called a press briefing. So they kind of like give you a play-by-play of what happened. And you kind of understand the thought process of this ecumenical government that we're in and the what Biden is doing. It sheds a lot of light, comes in with a lot of light. Yeah, I hope that made sense without giving away too much. Look at Susie. Susie's already in the building. Here's the panel discussion. Me and April and Rick and Kevin and Monique and Virgil Walker came in. It's good. It was crazy. And it was a lot of fun. All right. Let's see. Hey, good to see you. Independent Male is in the building. There he goes. Grace and peace, my friend. Hopefully good things are going on for you. And you always, as I like to encourage people, please check out these good content creators that are putting out good work. I know Quentin is over there, Independent Male, putting out fantastic content surrounding Diddy and all that kind of stuff like that. And such like that. I know April's putting out excellent content discussing cultural issues from a Christian woman's perspective. So please check out what they're doing over there. You know it. Look, let me tell you right now. I truly believe Susie has all of this stuff already saved. Hey, and somebody's calling me and there's a scam likely. So guess what happens? You don't get answered. I'm pretty sure Susie already has all this stuff ready to go before we even say good morning. But thank you so much. Vicky, do you ever just wish we could all stand hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, and face the evils together? I feel like we do. Vicky, I'll be honest with you. I think though we are not physically hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, I know that my brothers and sisters in the universal body of Christ are standing firm. And I'm comforted and consoled in the fact that though I'm in my office alone at the current moment, I got to look because, sometimes my kids sneak in, I don't see them. Though I'm in my office right now alone, I know that I am not alone standing against the evils that I may face, because I know my brothers and sisters are with me. And of course, God, the Holy Spirit, is empowering me to stand. So therefore, I feel your point, and the sentiment is true, but I'm like, right now, I'm standing with y'all just as much as if we were truly shoulder to shoulder. All right, let us see. Oh, all right, good stuff. Oh, good to see you, his servant. Good morning if I didn't speak to you. Good morning. All right, so wow, April and them said that you all were impacted by the tornadoes. Wow, just a few miles away. Praise God, everybody's okay. Thank you. Independent mail coming in the morning with the RICO money. All right, thank you so much for supporting the RICO Defense Fund. Okay, the name actually makes me laugh. Okay, I make myself laugh by calling it the RICO Defense Fund. I gotta stop it because it's so ridiculous. All right, let's get this game going. One of the things I told y'all, I'm telling you right now, and I'm more emboldened that the Fani Willis case against former President Trump will never, ever see the light of day. Ever. I know. There's some people that disagree with me, and I think they're copium disagreeing with me. They see the facts that are being laid out. And today we're going to look at quite a few that we haven't talked about already. But I think they're copium. They're like, I really want him to go to jail. They're just hoping and wishing. They're praying, the fingers crossed, and all that kind of foolishness. But the facts don't support the reality that they want. The facts support this thing ain't never going anywhere. Now, today, I'm going to start off by showing you, I told y'all before, the Young Thug case is going to be the marquee case that is going to prove that Trump don't even have to buy tickets to come to Atlanta. You don't even have to worry, my guy. You don't. And let me show you why.
Into the YSL trial, the judge is putting his foot down.
1 second. Why is it doing that? Let's do that another way. We're going to play that off. We're going to pretend like that was like we wanted it to do. And the such, always some kind of technical difficulty.
Live at 5 months into the YSL trial, the judge is putting his foot down. He will not tolerate it.
All right, some reason. Why is it doing that? Because I don't have an overlay. Because I have an overlay, it's like this. And y'all, all right, Ecamm gonna make me get old, I'm telling you. All right, let's try it again. All right, and with no further ado, here we go.
Live at 5 months into the YSL trial, the judge is putting his foot down. He will not tolerate another year or two of the same. Today, he repeated his message, telling both sides to pick up the pace or face consequences. Atlanta News First Rachel Aragon was in the Fulton County courtroom today. And Rachel, the judge really worries this trial could stretch into 2026.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Clearly, he is fed up this week, saying this needs to stop, meaning the delays and just how slow moving this trial has been, even pointing fingers at both prosecutors and the attorney, saying both of them can do better and be more prepared coming into court so we don't see further delays. Again, for some background here, 4 months into the trial, we've seen about 40 or so witnesses so far testify. Well, today, prosecutors sharing an updated witness list with the court, saying they have a remaining 153 witnesses.
Okay, I want you to stop for a second. It's taken them 4 months to get through 40 witnesses. So that's effectively how many witnesses per month? Now they've updated the list to 150 other witnesses. So just playing the game, that's almost 10 witnesses a month. So just following along, if they had 150, that would be 15 more months. That's just in witnesses. So that's not cross-examining, that's not closing statements, anything else. Okay. There's no way this case is ever going to come.
Plan to still call up to testify. Today, the judge repeated the possibility of holding court on weekends. The judge saying he plans to start court early several days a week to move this trial along.
It's just not fair. It's not fair to this jury. We're going to have them here till well into 26 if we don't do that. So you can see my soon frustration in the sense that you all know what's coming up.
And the trial is on break for spring break this week, but testimony and the jury will return back come next Monday. We're live in downtown Atlanta. Rachel Aragon, Atlanta News First.
Piles and
So I'm telling you, there is not a chance in the world that this, I mean, so you heard it. They're doing almost 10 witnesses a month. I don't even understand what that pace is. But, and if you do any research into this case, the judge be snapping off on those attorneys, both of them. And don't forget, Fani Willis's protege, Adrienne, I think her name is Adrienne Love. Adrienne Love, she's, I mean, oh my gosh, she is so bombastic with him. So there's no way this is going to happen. If this is going to be a snapshot or a facsimile of what we can expect, please understand, let it go. Just go ahead and let it go. And, in the words of Teddy, let it go. It's not going to be a RICO. Okay, it's over. Now, I'm sure you've heard on many different fronts, the whole case that Fani Willis built, the house that she built, is very, very wonky, extremely suspect. There's some major questions about how we even got here, not to even mention whether or not she should be, whatever's going on with Nathan, whatever's going on in their lives. But how does she even get it to this point is very interesting. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. But before we get too far afield, what we got to do? A word from my sponsor.
Season 2 of As the Peach Rods. In this gripping second season, we delve deeper into the heart of Georgia, in a state where the odor of mendacity lingers in the air. Our intrepid team of chat room investigators is on a mission to peel back the layers of deceit and uncover the truth. From backroom deals to embezzlement scandals, no stone is left unturned in our pursuit of justice. But as tensions rise and alliances shift, who can be trusted in the Peach State? Join us for a season ripe with drama, where even the fruit isn't safe from corruption, because sometimes the juiciest scandals are right under your nose.
As the Peach Rots. And before I get too far afield, I want to say thank you to each and every one of y'all who not only come to the chat, who not only engage in the live stream like that, but really add to the excitement that is in the chat, to add to excitement that I feel as I'm doing this content, is seeing what you're talking about, going back and forth, all that kind of dialogue. I want to say thank you. I say it a lot, and I don't mean it by, just hyperbole, but this is the best live chat in the world. I was talking yesterday, I had the privilege of sitting second chair with Chris Roseborough from Fighting for the Faith. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, if you're familiar with Prophecy Bingo, let me tell you, that episode yesterday that we filmed had us all in tears, all of us, because it was so utterly ridiculous. And I told Chris, I said, Chris, I got the best live chat on the planet. And he said, you know what? I got to give it to you. That these people right here are great. So even other people recognize. I've heard other people commenting about their live chats being great. Okay. I'm not going to call anybody out, but I think I know who it is. I've heard now starting to regale his live chat. Let me tell you right now, it's too late, man. This is the best live chat, bar none, bar none. So I want to encourage you all. I will be letting you know if you follow me on my community post. I will be letting you know when that Fighting for the Faith episode is coming out. I want to say, they said it'll be finished editing by next Friday, but you'll know ahead of time. So I just want to say that one more time. And I'm going to say probably 2 more times before the show is over. Thank you all so much for your support and encouragement on this show. All right, let's get into this. Now, you might have seen this yesterday. It seemed to be burning up the internet. And I think we already knew this. Nathan Wade is not a good dude. Okay. And if Nathan Wade was at any way trying to garner support and encouragement from the interwebs, I'm pretty sure he has completely ruined any possibility of getting any kind of support from any kind of sympathy from anywhere on the interweb. Now, I've already told you I don't support Nathan Wade. I think he's a terrible guy, okay? And I said he was a terrible guy because he violated his marital vows to his wife. Again, it doesn't matter. You are married, so therefore all the extra things that you're doing are wrong. Now, she could be just a terrible woman. I don't know that, but I know what you're doing is wrong. So I can call a spade a spade. And that's where I landed. Nathan Wade is a horrible person. Well, yesterday, and you might have seen it. I saw it on a couple sites as well when I was checking the traps. Apparently, Nathan Wade is, and a lot of people rumored about this, that his estranged wife has some health issues. And Nathan Wade was in their temporary divorce agreement, agreed to pay her medical bills because she has some kind of health issues. I don't know what they are, and it is kind of sad to read because we're going to look at it. But this low down, dirty, good for nothing scoundrel has now stopped doing that. But wait, there's actually more. So their children, one is in college and one is studying abroad in Switzerland, I think it is. We'll see in a second. Well, he had agreed to keep their upkeep, take care of the daughter's apartment and help the son because he has to get a visa to study abroad. And this dude right here has stopped paying even to support his kids. And it's pretty bad. So I'm not doing this to say, this is why the RICO case shouldn't happen. But no, this is what happens when we allow our sin to rule and to reign in our lives to the point that we literally, I don't understand how he could feel good about this. And we're going to look at it, and I'm sure y'all have seen some of it because I know Phil talked about it yesterday. I think Professor Nez talked about it. Dear Will Christian's about to talk about it right now, if I can get it pull up on the screen, which I can't. But it's a PowerPoint. Why won't it play? Let's go. Okay, we'll fix it another way. We got to come up with solutions to problems. Don't bring me problems, Jason. Come up with solutions. All right, we're going to do this another way. All right, but it's so bad. I'm like, yo, man, how do you sleep at night when you do this to people, man? What is the deal real? All right. And I see some people say he was in Spain. Okay, his son is in Spain. Anyway, man, I mean, my daughter right now is out looking at colleges right now. And I mean, as much as I got to, rob Peter and Paul to make sure that would happen, I just would feel terrible if I did not do everything I could. And again, like Nathan don't need to be robbing Peter and Paul. If you look at them numbers, brother, you shouldn't be robbing Peter and Paul. Peter and Paul need to be coming to you, my guy. So it's really sad to hear that this gentleman is not doing what he needs to do. And it's a carryover from the fact that Nathan wasn't doing what he needed to do in his marriage. And I think this is a great opportunity for men to see, like, this is why we take on the duty and responsibility of caring for a wife and caring for our children all the way to the end. Not because my wife is doing what she needs to do, or not because I feel a certain kind of way, but rather I'm going to do what needs to be done because that's what I promised to do. And again, I said this before, I'll say it again. My father-in-law, okay, hopefully I ain't mute myself. All right. My father-in-law gave me his daughter, and I promised to do the right thing. So Nathan, on the contrary, was promised as well, but he's not doing the right thing. Let's look at it. Let's go. This is in the Superior Court. Let me just double check, make sure y'all can hear me. I got a feeling about this. All right. It looks like you can hear me, so I just want to double check. I'm just checking before I get too far afield and realize y'all can't hear me, because that'd be terrible. All right. I can hear myself, but if you could just drop a 1 in the chat real quick and let me know that you can hear your guy, I would love it. I would love it. All right. I'm waiting for those ones to show up. Why is this doing this? All right. Let's see that. Okay. Looks good. Looks good. All right. Let's go. In the Superior Court of Cobb County, that beautiful state of Georgia, which we got the plaintiff is Mr. Nathan J. Wade, the defendant, Jocelyn Wade. Here, sorry about that. Defendant's application for the citation of contempt. Comes now, the defendant, Jocelyn Wade, and files this, her verified application for citation of contempt against the plaintiff, Nathan Wade, and in support thereof would show this honorable court as follows. Nathan agreed to do certain things in their temporary agreement to dissolve their marriage. So he agreed to certain things, and now they're going to talk about why he has not done this. And please understand, this has not been a long time. That's the part that just cracks me up. Like, yo, they have not been at this very long. On January 30th, 2024, this honorable court entered a consent temporary order, hereafter temporary order, in the above captioned matter, incorporated by reference and unfiled consent temporary agreement, which was reviewed and approved by the court. The parties agreed that the temporary agreement would not be filed with the court or disassembled to the third parties, to the third parties, unless there was an enforcement issue. All right, so look, we're going to keep this thing sealed. This is what's called a sealed case. So keeping it sealed. Nobody needs to know anything about it. Let's keep it going. The temporary agreement states as follows regarding defendants' health care expenses. So Jocelyn does have health care expenses that Nathan agreed that he would be taking care of. Plaintiff will pay all uncovered medical expenses for, and I'm going to tell you right now, this one does get a little bit pull a little bit on the heartstrings. So I don't know if the Scorpion Queen did that on purpose, but it does make you feel like, oh man, this dude is low down grimy. All right, defendant apart from any elective cosmetic procedures until further order of the court. Plaintiff will additionally pay for routine dental and vision care with the cap of those items of $500 per year. Defendant will forward invoices to plaintiff, who will pay the same instanter to the medical provider directly or make arrangements with the provider. If defendant's provider requires immediate payment at the time of service, plaintiff will be notified by defendant, and plaintiff shall arrange for payment instanter to the provider. So this is what he agreed to. This is not something that they're just pulling this out of the air. This is what he agreed to do for his wife as they were preparing to dissolve their marriage. Let's jump down to 3. Defendant urgently requires medical procedures, namely an endoscopy, colonoscopy, and ultrasound due to severe physical symptoms she has been enduring. These symptoms have significantly impacted her ability to consume most foods, leading to a substantial weight loss, notwithstanding her already slender stature. When in better health upon information and belief, her condition is worsening and delaying those diagnostic procedures may necessitate emergency intervention unnecessarily. So again, Nathan is supposed to be taking care of something and he's not doing it. This is such not a good look, when you, especially on the heels of knowing that this man had been compensated. Knowing that this man has been compensated so much by Fani Willis that he's not even taking care of something as simple as, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know how much he would have to pay, but it seems like it wouldn't be a lot when you got paid almost $750,000. We're going to look at another article that kind of explains how much he's been paid. But let's keep going. Number 4, defendant has duly notified plaintiff of the urgent necessity of these medical procedures and the need for payment of the amount of $4,400. Specifically, she has communicated that the medical facility will not even schedule those vital tests until plaintiff repays the associated co-payments directly to the healthcare provider. So $4,400, he was making that in a week, okay? But even more than that, it only shows like, dude, you don't even care about this woman. And again, whatever the reason is, you agreed to this though. You agreed to take care of these in the temporary agreement. But let's continue. Despite the direct request from the defendant to the plaintiff for repayment and an additional amount, or rather demand from defendant's counsel to plaintiff's counsel, plaintiff has failed and neglected to fulfill his obligation under the temporary order to cover these necessary healthcare costs. Instead, plaintiff has instructed defendant to make payments to the provider herself with an assurance of reimbursement. So you just gonna pay it. I'll pay you back later. Okay, that sounds like a setup to me. Let's go to number 6. Ironically, the defendant finds herself unable to fulfill the repayment obligations to the healthcare provider, despite not being legally obligated to do so, due to the actions of the plaintiff. On the day immediately following the entry of the order on January 30th, 2024, plaintiff informed the parties' daughter, an upperclassman in college with hopes of entering medical school in the near future, that he would, this is what I'm talking about. Like, dude, come on, man. He would discontinue payment of her rent and living expenses. And what did he tell her to do? Instructing her, get the money from your mama. Can I highlight that? I don't think I can highlight it because I can't. Get the money from your mother. The mother that don't have any money? Come on, man. If he wanted to get any goodwill from the interweb, if he wanted anybody to be on his side and think that maybe he had gotten a raw deal, Nathan is guaranteeing that nobody is going to come to his funeral. Nobody. I'm trying to tell you. It is noteworthy that the daughter's rent was due that very day, demonstrating defendant's unwavering commitment to her children's education and future. She promptly covered for her daughter's rent payment and has continued to do so every month thereafter with the money that she receives in spousal support awarded her under the temporary order and agreement. So she's using her spousal support, which should be going toward her, or could be going rather, toward her health care. She's using that to take care of her daughter in college. As an additional note, plaintiff has very punitively reneged on his commitment to cover their daughter's MCAT expenses as well. So again, it just seems like, boy, making a commitment is something that Nathan, if he makes a commitment, makes a vow, makes a pledge to do something, it doesn't seem like he's good for it. It don't seem like he's solid on it. Because if he pledges it, if he says he's going to do it, it's guaranteed almost that he's not going to do it. It just seems like that's par for the course. I mean, really. I see some great comments in here, and I appreciate it. Yo, if you feel like this is some pretty grimy stuff, can you drop a let me know if you think that this is some grimy stuff by Nathan. Drop me an emoji that would denote that you feel like this is some low down stuff.
And for that,
let's continue. The party's son is currently in Europe, pursuing a career as a professional soccer player. Kudos to that. So he's probably pretty good at soccer. That's pretty dope. I like it. Despite plaintiffs executing a verified affidavit. So listen. He promised, this is again, Nathan is making a vow that he made a verbal vow to his daughter. He made a vow before the court that he would provide for his wife. Now he's actually signing an affidavit that he's going to take care of his son so his son can get a visa to play ball in Europe. Watch this. Executing a verified affidavit to the country of Spain, affirming financial responsibility for his son's expenses for visa purposes. So you can't just get a visa and you don't have a job, okay? But watch this. Or you got to know that your bills are going to be covered. I got you. He subsequently informed his son shortly after the temporary order was entered that he would no longer be providing support for him either, directing his son to, what did he say to do? Get the money from your mama. In response, the defendant is unwilling to leave their son in a foreign country without support, has been covering all of his expenses and associated with the associated costs for the visa application process with the money she is receiving for spousal support. Again, and apparently they've attached some kind of letters explaining that. So again, what she should be using for her own health care, her own maintenance, she's using for her daughter's apartment and expenses. She's using for her son's expenses overseas and such like that. Again, any goodwill that Nathan wanted to get from these internet streets, any goodwill that he wanted to get from the interweb is a wrap. I think it's fair to say it is a wrap. Nobody's worrying about him. All right, let's go. Let us go. Number 8, plaintiff's sudden cessation of support for the party's children has placed defendant in a dire financial situation, resulting in a monthly income of less than $1,000. Additionally, defendant cannot currently work due to her poor health. As a consequence, she finds herself in a worse financial position than she was prior to entering into the consent order. So she's actually getting worse financially, because at least then Nathan was doing what he was supposed to be doing. Now Nathan is not doing anything, and she's getting stuck with the short end of the stick. Defendant acknowledges that this court does not have jurisdiction over the expenses of the party's young adult children. However, she provides this information to the court to illustrate the pressing need for this application to be addressed on the court's next available calendar, as defendant lacks the financial means to cover the medical procedures repayment and await reimbursement from the plaintiff. Lastly, let's go to 10. Lastly, the consent order, plaintiff was to pay a total amount of $15,000 to Fraser Deter, the firm employing the defendant's financial expert, Beth Garrett. Plaintiff personally provided a cashier's check made payable to Fraser Deter in the amount of $15,000 to the defendant's counsel, who sent the same to Fraser Deter via FedEx. FedEx lost the package and the defendant's counsel requests plaintiff's counsel to have plaintiff address this with the bank. Upon further information and belief, plaintiff had one contact with the bank who wrote a letter stating that after they did a deep dive into it, would be 90 days until they could reissue the check. Defendant seeks a court order requiring plaintiff to take whatever steps necessary to ensure that the cashier's check is reissued. All right, so she's trying to pay off some bills, and apparently the check got lost in the mail, which, man, that's crazy. All right, number 12, plaintiff's multiple willful failures to comply with the terms of the temporary order and agreement constitutes contempt of court. Now, I don't know why Nathan is not doing that. Given the fact that everybody knows how much the man made, I would think that he would probably want to lay low and get this done as amicably and as quickly as possible. Clearly, it's not the case. So let's go see what happens. Defendant has incurred attorney's fees and expenses of litigation due to the plaintiff's actions, which are clearly in violation of the court's January 30, 2024 temporary order and the party's temporary agreement, which was incorporated by reference, and went over that as well. Due to the worsening nature of defendant's health, she would request that the court reduce plaintiff's response time to 5 days. And there's a couple other little, there's a couple little examples right here that they've added to this, but I think the end point of it is just that we can see that, man, Nathan is not doing the right thing, man. As much as he might have wanted to try to garner some good support from people to feel, pity for him and whatnot, I can't find no pity for you, man. None at all. That is sad to see. Now, I want to point out again, actually, we're going to look at, I actually got the article with his actual wife. I'm going to bring that in as well. We're going to just talk about it, look at it, see what y'all think about it. Let us do that. Hopefully did it right. That's my Buy Me a Coffee page. Got it. I did it right. Woo. All right. Y'all pray for me in this eCam. Y'all, eCam has got me going in circles. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying. I really am. All right. So Fani Willis' special prosecutor, Nathan Wade, is accused of contempt by the court by ailing ex-wife for failing to pay her medical bills, had an affair with Willis while prosecuting Trump. I mean, good gravy. He could be broke. I see somebody like that. He could be broke. It's very possible. And if that be the case, then so be it. I don't know, but you've made that agreement. That's the thing, though. If you make the agreement, and I see another question right here. Does he have a job? He still has his private practice. So even in that, though, you made the agreement, then you have to let the court know, like, hey, I don't have a job. Everybody knows that you got let go from Fulton County. We know that, but you also had a private practice. But it's your duty and responsibility to let them know that. And therein is the problem. Therein is the rub. Somebody said that the volume was low. Hopefully it's not low anymore. Let me check real quick. Let me listen. All right, let me listen to it real quick myself. Okay, sounds good on my end. So I apologize if it sounds low on your end. Please forgive me. But let us go, let us go, let us go. Jocelyn Wade claims her estranged husband, Nathan Wade, is refusing to pay $4,400 in medical bills. She claims that she is unable to pay for the bills herself since Wade stopped paying child support for their 2 children. And I don't think it should be child support. It sounds more like some kind of maintenance because, again, both of them are pretty old. They're older, if you will. So I don't want to say that it's child support. I want to give them at least that little bit of credit, if you will. Wade was appointed the Fulton County DA by Fani Willis to manage her prosecution of Donald Trump for trying to overturn the 2020 elections. All right, we've known this. This is all pretty common fare. So let us get into the weeds because this article, I think this article is in the description as well. And it just gives you a good little snapshot of the whole family. And you see a lot of the family, like a lot of people ask questions about Jocelyn and you get the chance to see her. All right. Scandal hit special prosecutor Nathan Wade has been accused of contempt of court by his estranged wife in the new divorce filings. Jocelyn Wade made the accusation in court papers filed Wednesday, claiming that her former partner had failed to pay $4,400 in medical bills. All right, we just talked about that. So let's get that a little bit further down the ramp. All right, let's see what we got here. So I don't know her medical issues, so I am going to skip that paragraph. I'm going to start with she claims. She claims that she's unable to pay her bills herself since Wade stopped paying child support for their 2 children. And Nathan has been at the center of the bitter divorce case where he is revealed he had a relationship with Fulton County DA, Fani Willis. I don't know why they put DA and the A is small. DA, Fani Willis. The scandal rocked the county's case against Donald Trump, and Nathan was forced to resign as top prosecutor. I'm going to say it again. I don't think the case was that solid to start with. All right, so here is Jocelyn Wade and their beautiful daughter, smiling big, looking happy. All right. And let us continue. And again, I'll leave this link is in the description of the moderators could drop it in there. That'd be fine as well. Why is this not rolling up? There we go. Willis's conduct was examined during the series of sensational hearings with Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee, ultimately slamming her for tremendous lapse in judgment and for acting in an rather unprofessional manner. I agree with that 100%. However, she escaped with just a slap on the wrist after McAfee dramatically ruled she could stay on the Trump election interference case if Wade removes himself. The odor of mendacity. All right. Okay. Well, there we go. In her filings, Jocelyn states that Wade has violated the temporary order issued by the court necessitating his payment of her medical bills. And again, I don't know what those are, but prayerfully she'll get that taken care of. We just kind of read over this as well. The scorned wife added, I don't like the term scorned because I don't think that it sounds like she's trying to get back at him in that, like, no, you promised this, my guy. That's not cool. The scorned wife added that she cannot pay them due to Wade's sudden cessation of support for their children, which has left her monthly income at less than $1,000 a month. Jocelyn's lawyer states her health means she is currently unable to work, which is exacerbating her financial situation. And I don't know, they don't mention it, if she was in fact a stay-at-home mom, because a lot of people mention that she was a stay-at-home mom. I think she was, but I guess now that she's separated from Nathan, she wanted to try to get into some kind of work. I don't know if she ever did work or anything of that nature. Let us keep going. Wade informed their daughter, an aspiring medical student, that she would no longer be paying for her rent on January 30th. Wow. Just surprise. The day after the temporary order was issued, according to the filings. Just like surprise. All right, so here's, looks like Jocelyn and their kids. Yeah. And a dog. All right, kids and a dog. Looks pretty happy there. And we got Lady Willis. We're familiar with her. And y'all can read those captions. I'm not going to waste your time with those. All right, here's Nate. Let's keep it going. What's Nate doing? Nathan also reneged on his commitment to pay for his daughter's medical school entrance exam per the filings. And we just talked about that. And a lot of this is kind of a summary of what we just discussed. And actually, this is the bottom of it. Yeah. So, and we know that he, of course, is no longer paying for their son's expenses overseas either, which is kind of weird, man. Come on, man. How you going to do your kid like that? Come on, my guy. Again, if you wanted any kind of sympathy, if you wanted any kind of good feelings, good vibrations, if you will, good people wanted to side with you. Because I've heard people say, like, you know, Nathan was a victim. Like, okay, all right. If you say it, sure, whatever. But I think this right here is going to probably seal it. Like, nobody's going to support this guy. I mean, it just seems like it's such a dirty thing to do. I mean, again, you could come out of here a good guy. Because watch this. You know what's going to end up happening? You know what's going to happen? Somebody, the least likely person possible, is going to do something to help Jocelyn, and it's going to throw everybody into a tailspin. I got a feeling. I am not going to say what I'm thinking, but I think somebody, a very unlikely person, is going to be like, "Oh, Jocelyn Wade needs some help. Stroke a check," and she's going to be sitting really nice, and everybody's going to look like a whole bunch of fools on that side, especially Nathan and them. So I don't know exactly how it's going to pan out. Hopefully, it won't get to that level, but I got a feeling I can see how it plays, because this is just theater. And I believe that it can play out a lot of different ways. But that's just my little 2 cents on that one right there. I see some good comments coming through. Absolutely, man. I think we should have compassion on her. It doesn't seem like she did anything, in my opinion. Again, I don't know anything about her. I don't know anything about her. But just from the little bit that I've seen, it don't seem like Nathan was the victim in this situation at all. So that Porsche, Nathan has a Porsche? Okay. Hey. What's going on, Queen Fab? Even if she is scorned, she has the right to be based on how he seems to have treated her. No, I got you. I just don't like the term scorned because it seems to have a negative. But I think she rightly, like, instead of saying scorned, I probably would have said the former wife, the estranged wife, rightly is requesting. I don't like. That's all I was trying to say. Because scorn just seems like, oh, something bad happened to you and you're just angry and bitter, you know. That's the only thing I was thinking about. I wish a Fani supporter would tell me how they would feel if they were in Mrs. Wade's shoes. Would they still support her? I think that's a very good question. Jean Lee, I think that's a great question. I would love for him to explain it too. But I've asked this on many episodes, like, just explain to me how, if you're pro-black woman and, you got to support Fani because she's a black woman. She's a black woman. Okay. But what about Jocelyn? And then you know what happens when I say that? Crickets. Yeah. But y'all got all the energy for Fani. Y'all throwing all that, everything for Fani. But then I said, well, what about Jocelyn? Are y'all supporting her? What about her? And then all of a sudden, nothing. Just something I noticed. God's fancy girl, I'm not going to put it on the screen because that's exactly what I'm thinking. That would throw the whole thing. You know what? I'm just going to do it. Never mind. That's what I was thinking. That was exactly what I was thinking. I said, how crazy would it be if Trump comes through and says, oh, you know what? I'm just going to help you out. That would be bananas. And it wouldn't matter. I just think it would be crazy if that happened. I'm not saying it would. I'm just saying if that happens, come on, let's just be honest. This thing has been crazy, right? So anything can happen, right? Just like a bag of money can fall out the sky. Okay. Anything can happen. I just think like, that would be wild. Just my little 2 cents. Just a little observation. All right. I found a really good summary of the entire case up to this point because a couple things. Fani Willis did a lot of things wrong as it relates to bringing this charge against Donald Trump to start with. And I am really trying to understand how she was able to do this because I don't know if y'all heard it yesterday. Today's Thursday. It might have been Tuesday or Wednesday. They were discussing why the election results were not validated. And the amount of foolishness that happened, again, it wasn't just Trump saying it. There was a lot of shenanigans that were happening. And a lot of you have seen this. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. But to hear one of the ones that actually certifies the election saying, I didn't certify the election because of these problems. That was crazy. And it's not some conspiracy theory. It's not just Jason, just, whatever. Like, no, there was some bona fide problems. And I think, again, Trump saying, where are these votes? I don't think when I heard this, it made a lot more sense. Real quick, let's get a summary of this real quick.
There are now 2 people officially eyeing to replace Fani Willis as Fulton County's district attorney.
Now we are following the latest in the Fulton County district attorney disqualification saga
At the Capitol when Democrat Christian Wise Smith filed his paperwork. He ran against Willis 4 years ago. Christian Wise Smith challenging her in the May Democratic primary election.
Right now, we're just weighing our options, man. And this was a necessary step, to put our hat in the ring.
So we got, not only is she running, not only is there a Democrat trying to primary her, there's a Republican too. This is going to be bananas. Let's go.
Should we decide to do that? And then, y'all will be the first to know once we make that call.
Courtney Kramer is shaping up to be the Republican challenger. She actually interned in the White House counsel's office under former President Donald Trump for 3 months in 2018. After filing her paperwork, she took a shot at DA Willis.
You should be prosecuting crimes, putting criminals behind bars, and keeping Fulton County safe. And I'm not scared to run against Fani Willis, but what I am scared of is the Fulton County I am seeing under her leadership right now.
What is going on in Georgia? They want to have Fani Willis taken off the case, removed. I was going to say disqualified, but I guess we're past that because McAfee said no, he's not going to disqualify her. So now they're saying, well, just remove her. There's a bar complaint against her, 2 of them. Governor Kemp down there, not a Trump fan, has a panel now saying we're going to toss out rogue prosecutors. But she still has a lifeline. Are you surprised by that, Judge?
Well, the trial judge in the Georgia state case, after 2.5 weeks of a soap opera-like hearing, it should have been resolved in an afternoon, but he let everybody say whatever they want, decided not to remove Fani Willis from the case if her boyfriend left. The boyfriend left. She's now back in charge. What Donald Trump did over the weekend was file an appeal of that decision to an appellate court in Georgia. The appeal to the appellate court does not stop what's happening at the trial level. So the trial's not scheduled for October, but there are many, many pretrial matters going on, and they are going on even as we.
Wait, he said the trial is not scheduled until October. Remember, Fani wanted it in August. Have y'all heard of any jury being paneled for this? They haven't even selected jury yet. There is no way it's going to happen. No way at all. There's just no way. You can be hopeful. It's copium, but it's not going to see the light of day.
Speak. At the same time that this appeal is being filed, Ms. Willis is being investigated by ethics examiners in Georgia to decide whether or not she violated the canons of legal ethics by hiring the boyfriend.
Good evening, Congresswoman. And so what provoked this request for documents to begin with? What made you think that her office was using federal funds inappropriately?
Because we have evidence that she has been receiving federal funds. And obviously, we have oversight as to how they're being spent, being the Judiciary Committee and Congress. And so it is our right to determine whether she is spending those funds appropriately. We have the same issue with Bragg in New York. They're using federal funds to engage in political persecution and to go after political enemies. We also need to find out to what extent she has corresponded with, worked with, coordinated with the White House in her efforts to pursue this litigation against Donald Trump and other citizens.
Wait, when you send money to a DA's office and it gets sent around the country from the Department of Justice, and I understand the oversight, is it just, here's $12 million or here's $12 million, spend it on fixing the jails, adding more assistant DAs? I mean, are you specific? So, I mean, or do you just sort of send a check?
You don't just send a check. They are supposed to use that money for specific purposes. And that's one of the reasons why we have the oversight. It's just not just that they get a blank check to do whatever they want to do. And again, when we're talking about political persecution, which I think it's very obvious in light of what has happened over the last couple of weeks and the mini trial that we watched play out in the court down there, addressing her inappropriate relationship with one of her underlings and whether that has colored this litigation and her effort to prosecute Donald Trump. So again, I think that we have every right to determine whether our money is being used inappropriately and whether she is the conduit by which the White House is attempting to hamstring President Biden's primary political opponent.
Are there some specific documents you've requested that she has not provided to date? I know that she says it's sort of a rolling process, and I don't know if she's dragging her feet or not, but nonetheless, are there some specific documents that you want that you think that she's sitting on deliberately?
Well, some of the documents that I would like to see relate to the relationship and the coordination and the interaction with the White House. When her former paramour was billing the county, he has line items in there for meeting with the White House in Washington, D.C. for 8 hours at a time. I think it would be entirely appropriate for us to have some understanding of what took place during those meetings. And again, we need to get back to the fact or to the question of whether Joe Biden and the White House are coordinating in these efforts to prosecute Donald Trump. Donald Trump is clearly not only the front runner, he is the candidate for the Republican Party. He is beating Joe Biden in all of the polls.
There's one particular entry that I have a high interest in, and I can't figure this one out. I know about the meetings at the White House, and I got that you have the interest in it. But there's one entry in his invoices where he said he met, I think, with White House counsel in Athens, Georgia. And for the life of me, I can't figure out. I mean, I get, going to the White House, and maybe there's some negotiation about documents or whatever, and I await the answer to that. But why do you think that, what's with this Athens, Georgia meeting with the White House counsel? You don't expect that one.
So I think that that's also very significant. We need to find out that. But we also have learned that there is an assistant district attorney in her office who is being paid $40-some thousand, $50-some thousand a year, yet has a side business that he is a political operative, a Democrat political operative, where he's actually raked in hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, in furthering the Democrat agenda. I think we're entitled to find out more information about that relationship and why he's in the office. And
I think that is a great question. And as we can see right here, Conundrum, my brother from, I think he's New Orleans or Louisiana, I know proper. He makes a great point. And thank you, brother, for the super chat, helping out with the Fani Willis RICO Defense Fund. But look what he says here. Greetings, my friend. It would be too early for a jury selection, inasmuch she has major problems coming down the pike. Remember, I said earlier, the hearing was the least of her issues. And this gentleman is actually in law. And so he knows a whole lot more than me because I'm a pre-K law student. Okay. I don't know what the world I'm talking about, but he knows that. And there we go. Like she can't even get to the place of paneling a jury because there's a lot of issues and they're going over here. These young ladies are talking about it on the case. I'm sorry, here in this video, but I just want to point that out. Like, I don't think there's any hope that this is going to, if it were going to see the light of day, it's going to see the light of day in 2025 at the very best. But let us continue. Thank you again, Conundrum, for the shout out. Somebody also said that they heard that Kamala Harris as well as Fani Willis are in the same sorority. I don't think that's true. I just did a quick little search and I could be wrong. So please help me out if you think I'm wrong. I think Fani Willis is a Delta and Kamala Harris is an AKA. Both of them are as wrong as two left shoes, but I'm just making a point.
As you say, there were meetings with White House counsel. I think we have the right to understand what took place during those meetings.
We're following a dispute right now between Fulton County, Georgia, essentially Atlanta, the DA here, Fani Willis, and her dispute with a powerful congressman. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan of Ohio, an ardent Trump supporter, recently threatened to hold Willis in contempt of Congress for not providing information about how the DA's office used a federal grant. But in a defiant response, Willis said she is cooperating with Jordan's committee and suggested what Jordan really wants is to slow down her election subversion case.
Okay, real quick, and I don't mean to keep stopping, but Republic Room. Wow, I'm a Delta. I never knew Fani was, but the HBCUs and BG, Black Greek letter organizations, and the Black Church are basically arms of the Democratic Party. I just went and did a quick search. Y'all saw me typing and trying to pay attention. So if I was wrong, charge it to me. Okay. Okay. And I see a lot of people saying that they think she's an AKA. Hey, I could be wrong. Again, not only am I a pre-K law student, I'm a pre-K investigative journalist too. I don't know. Look, I'm trying to type, keep ECAM from exploding on me. Look, y'all don't understand. Help a brother out.
Against Trump and others. She wrote in part, "Nothing that you do will derail the efforts of my staff, and I bring the election interference prosecution to trial."
The Georgia case, delayed for 2 months by a challenge to DA Fani Willis, finally moves forward today in Atlanta. Judge Scott McAfee will hear arguments that the charges violate Trump's free speech rights under the First Amendment. Trump's lawyers say the case seeks to criminalize political speech.
DA Fani Willis firing back at Republicans seeking info about her use of federal funds, saying, quote, "Nothing you do will derail the efforts of my staff and I to bring election interference prosecution to trial so that a jury of Fulton County citizens can determine the guilt or innocence of the defendants."
Our next guest initiated the push to remove Willis from this case.
I just wanted you all to see and this is a good summary by U.S. Immigration on YouTube channel. Shout out to them. I think the link is down in the description as well. They give a really stellar summary of everything that's gone on up to this point. So we can kind of like, cliff notes, if you will, the Cleveland notes, bring you up to speed so you can kind of know what all is going on. I thought it was really good. I do want to point this out though, because the conversation about sororities and fraternities, I do know that Fani Willis is a Howard alum. So maybe that might, if I'm not mistaken, I think Q, we were talking about that as well. I think she's a Howard alumni, and so is Kamala Harris. Now that I do know. Even my little minuscule investigative journalism right there. But there's a lot of conversation going on about that. And fun fact, we were talking about that on April's channel earlier this week. So I told y'all to check it out. Definitely check it out. We were discussing maybe even having an episode discussing Greek letter organizations and such like that, because it's just such a keen topic and lots of people had questions about it. All right, let us go. Okay, let us finish this up. Let's go.
Against Trump and his co-defendants, and one of whom she represents.
All right, joining us back with us again, attorney Ashley Merchant. Ashley, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Does this require you be in court today?
Yes, but luckily our judge has embraced Zoom. So a lot of us can appear by Zoom, which really helps things a lot. So I'm not primarily arguing, so I'll be on Zoom.
Arguing for what? What are you looking to do today?
Yeah, so there's two motions that are going to be heard today. The first one is a motion to dismiss based on First Amendment grounds. And that motion so Donald Trump's lawyer is arguing that, Steve Sadow, and he's going to be arguing that the First Amendment should prohibit this prosecution. And it's really a couple different First Amendment issues that we've got. We've got the freedom to associate, the freedom to petition the government, the freedom to speak. So all of this conduct that's part of this indictment is really covered by the First Amendment. And if you think about it, it makes sense that a judge should be the one that protects that right, because you shouldn't have to go in front of a jury to protect your constitutional rights. So that's the first one we're going to hear. But then the second one is called a demurrer. And in Georgia, a demurrer is really a motion to dismiss. And what we're trying to do is argue, and that's Mr. Schaefer's motion. He's primarily arguing that. And he was the Georgia GOP leader at the time and also one of the alternate electors. So when you look at the indictment, you see a lot of language that says fake electors, things like that, duly elected, fraudulent. And those are legal conclusions. And so we're trying to have those dismissed, saying that the state can't just put those legal conclusions in there. That's something that a jury has to decide.
You know, Counselor, I'm curious, and obviously, I mean, we saw it for our screen, and our viewers saw what happened in the courtroom with Fani Willis. The case was laid out. They lied under oath. But my question is, why not keep them on the case? They've been very sloppy with their filings, out of control. From a legal...
On trial, this is, of course...
Well, I'm sorry, I messed that up. Okay. He asked a question that I really have been wondering as well. Fani Willis and her team have shown clearly they are well over there. They kicked way over their coverage. They were in entirely too deep. To me, it almost would be beneficial to keep such a poor team on the field rather than replace them or anything of that nature. That's what I was thinking. That dude was right in my head. I apologize if I might have accidentally hit the play button a little bit wrong. So let me see if I can bring that back up.
Part of a greater coordinated effort to...
Oh, yeah. I think we have some really strong issues on appeal. So our appeal is going to focus on the factual findings that the judge already made. And if you look at that order, you can tell he made some really strong factual findings that support a conflict. So we're going to be arguing that his decision actually should have gone farther and it should have actually disqualified her because he gave us all the factual findings we need. We just now need a court to say that's too much. That's enough. She's got to be disqualified. And if that happens, then we'll get a neutral prosecutor to be able to go and review this and decide whether or not they're even going to bring these charges again.
Actually, let me ask you about the human side of this because, you know, your client, Donald Trump, the former president, he's on trial. This is, of course, part of a greater coordinated effort to not let people vote for him in the coming election. But this is very high stakes. And we were just talking earlier, he's taking time out of his schedule to come to the funeral, the wake for this police officer. He's got campaign obligations. He's got other cases in other states. What's his mental state? And I mean, he seems to be handling it so well. How does he compare to other clients who are under this kind of pressure?
Well, my client, I represent Michael Roman, so right. I'm part of the team that they represent Donald Trump. But this is immensely stressful for everyone. I mean, as you can imagine, being charged with a crime where you could potentially go to prison, I can't imagine much greater stress. It's one of the most stressful situations in the entire world. And, you know, having to think about going in front of a jury and putting your fate in the hands of 12 people, that's extremely stressful. Having to deal with all these different court hearings is extremely stressful. And for President Trump, that's even, you know, confounded by the fact that he's got all these different jurisdictions that he's got to answer to. I mean, you could see it in the conflict letters. There were some conflict letters filed earlier this week where he's telling one judge, I've got to be here, and another judge, I've got to be here. That's stressful. Yeah. Anytime you're supposed to be more than one place and you're one human being, that's stressful. Then coupled with the fact that all of these have serious legal ramifications, that's a full-time job for someone.
Yeah. Seems almost impossible.
Which is probably part of the plan of all this.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep in mind, too,
part
Jim
of the
Jordan.
Election interference plan.
Jim Jordan's also looking into Fani Willis and trying to find out about what she was up to and try to get all this information that she's reluctant to give over, although she swears she's cooperating.
Tensions escalating on Capitol.
All right, so I thought that was good. I thought it was interesting that the interviewers are asking and making some pretty serious sided claims, which I thought was kind of wild. But I just wanted us to review this to get us caught up to speed, because I do want to watch the elector and the Board of Elections and why they didn't actually certify the election here in Georgia. It was crazy. So stay around for that. Let's finish this up. Let's go.
Hill, as Congressman Jim Jordan calls on Fani Willis to appear before lawmakers, the embattled Fulton County District Attorney facing an ultimatum: show up or face contempt of Congress if she doesn't comply with the congressional subpoena.
Congress is trying to find out if and how her office misused federal funds. So Fani Willis's office is saying that she's innocent. Their office did nothing wrong, but Congressman Jim Jordan is saying they haven't sent over enough to prove that. They're looking for yet another slice of the pie. So in a letter we obtained from Jim Jordan to Fani Willis's office, it reads in part, quote, "Your office unlawfully planned to use part of a $488,000 federal grant earmarked for the creation of a Center of Youth Empowerment and Gang Prevention to cover frivolous, unrelated expenses." We know the allegations here center on a former employee who said the district attorney fired her soon after she raised concerns about how one of their employees hoped to use those federal grant money for things outside of the scope of that federal grant, the Youth Violence and Gang Prevention Program.
All right, so let me bring that back, because don't let that pass over. Remember that lady a moment ago with the red lipstick and the green jade jewelry? They were asking, like, hey, when you guys send money to these DAs, do they just get to use it however? And they said, no, we earmark it and you have to use it a certain kind of way. And they kind of basically said, we want to know that you're using the money correctly. That's what Jim Jordan was doing. And so they're saying that, and this is what the whistleblower went to DC to tell them, like, hey, she's misusing that money. And so now it's coming to a head of exactly how she was misusing the money. So let's talk about it. Let's go.
Congressman Jim Jordan, he's emphasizing the seriousness of the matter. He's saying that failure to adhere to the subpoena would result in severe consequences. As part of that letter, he says, quote, "The committee expects that you will produce all responsive documents to the subpoena in the categories prioritized by the committee. If you fail to do so, the committee will consider taking further action, such as the invocation of contempt of Congress proceedings." And that's what's really new in this story here. So we've reached out to Willis's office in response for this subpoena. We have not heard back from her yet. We'll update you when we do. But when this subpoena was initially sent out back in February 2nd, she sent us this statement. She says, in part, quote, "These false allegations are included in baseless litigation filed by a holdover employee from the previous administration who was terminated for cause. The courts have ruled they found no merit in these claims. We expect the same result in any pending litigation." Marky, right now it's still unclear whether or not these federal funds in question were used or misused improperly or not.
Okay, I gotta say something. I'm sorry. Fani Willis, you're an attorney. You're getting money from the federal government. Why would you not keep receipts? The fact that she has not just said, oh, here's the receipts. And somebody's mentioned it. They're uber sloppy. They're so sloppy. There's no way that you can look at this person and think that they're going to handle something correctly. They're super sloppy. Because remember, when she waltzed herself into court in the pink dress, she didn't come with any paperwork. She didn't come with her pocketbook. She didn't come with a folder. Like, here's the receipts. Here's the receipts. When she could have. Here's my phone record right there. You can see it. She didn't do that. Why? Because she's sloppy. But watch this. Nathan was doing the exact same thing. Super sloppy in his work. So if she ends up getting carted up to DC, trust me, I'm going to be doing that thing live stream. I'm going to do that live stream. And real quick, I got to give a humongous shout out to Conundrum. Let me just say this real quick, brother. Thank you so much for your support of my Fani Willis RICO Defense Fund. But let me just be real. The fact that somebody who is in the law field finds value in my pre-K law assessment and is giving me commentary like this and giving me shout outs means a lot. So I want to say Q, thank you so very much. Can y'all real quick in the chat, just drop the letter Q in there, because Conundrum not only blessed your boy and helped me out with my RICO Defense Fund, but he just really encourages me that, you know what, I'm not crazy. I might think I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. So can we just drop some Qs in there for my man? And no, we ain't talking about you, Q Shaw, but we talking about Conundrum. Thank you so much, man. It means a lot, man. Thank you very, very much. Because this stuff is fun. I enjoy talking about it, but a lot of times I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And to have somebody who's in the field, who knows what he's talking about, giving me kudos, giving me support, proverbially giving me the thumbs up and a pat on the back saying, you're doing a great job, bro, that means a lot to me. Thank you very much. Thank y'all for blessing me. And thank y'all for spamming that guy. Let him know that he's doing a great job helping your guy out. Because again, I'm just a pre-K law student. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Let's talk about this Georgia case, and we know that Fani Willis looks unbelievably compromised. It looks like she's admitted her relationships with Nathan Wade, whose credentials are weak to be a lead prosecutor on a former president of the United States. They're going to be questioning today a lot of his expenses that he was paid and where they used to go on vacation together. Look at some of this stuff. You probably can't see it there. $800 for Napa Valley Hotel, $3,000 for a Royal Caribbean vacation.
Shout out to
cost
Royal
of that
Caribbean.
Norwegian cruise, on and on and on. 100 flowers. All these bills, are they related to the money he's getting because of the job she gave him? And what does it mean for the case?
Yeah, she used taxpayer dollars to help Nathan Wade, who spent it in all kinds of ways, but he also used that money to go after President Trump, for goodness sake. So, yeah, I think she's compromised. And back up a second. She charged President Trump and 18 other people and was looking to charge 3 United States senators. She put this out, including the top Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee. And now we find out, and we're talking to this individual, now we find out there's a whistleblower in the Fulton County DA's office who says that Fani Willis also misspent federal funds.
Wow.
That's why we've subpoenaed Ms. Willis for information related to that and other issues. We want to know what's going on here, but she sure looks like she's been compromised in this entire ridiculous effort that she undertook several months ago.
I just hope they blow up the case because she has no credibility and she led the charge, and it seems to be all about politics.
And lots of questions.
Again, like the amount of questions that are coming up from this is getting out of control. And we got to start saying like, yo, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's got to be some reason why this has gotten this far afield. Because it sounds crazy at this point. It doesn't even make sense that we've gotten this far. But please understand, there's a reason why Donald Trump asked about those votes. And, you know, I've been paying attention to the First Amendment hearing as well. But when I heard this electorate, I don't know if we're going to call it electorate, the election board representative and why they did not certify it, it made so much more sense. There was a lot of shenanigans. And again, like this is not just her own personal deals. This is not just her in her own dealings and not just in her own business. There's a lot of problems in the way that she went about this. And let's just call it what it is. And real quick, thank you so very much, Republic Room. Thank you so much for the super chat. All right, content. Thank you so much. I'm hoping that you're saying that the content is good. I'm hoping that's what you're saying, sister. Thank you so much for the support. Thank y'all, every last one of y'all. Real quick, go on and drop Republic Room in the chat as well. We got to let her know we appreciate you. Thank you for helping me out because when Fani comes after me with this RICO charge, I'm going to be looking for y'all to help me out. So thank you very much. Let's get done with this because we got a little bit more fun stuff to do. Let's go.
District Attorney Fani Willis said this.
Recently, they tell me they don't like me to talk about race.
Oh,
I'm going to talk about it anyway. Truth is, it's some challenges that come to being black.
Fulton County judge's warning of his possible gag order against DA Fani Willis following remarks she made at a church in January about the election interference case against former President Donald Trump.
Was surprised that he admonished her for what she said at the church because it wasn't directly about these defendants.
Associate Professor John Acevedo, who teaches law at Emory University, says Judge Scott McAfee's criticism of comments Fulton County DA Fani Willis made at Big Bethel Church wasn't necessary, but he does admire the way the judge ruled.
But dear God, are you listening? Why does Commissioner Thorne and so many others question my decision in a special counsel? Lord, you're flawed, hard-headed, and imperfect child. I'm a little confused. I appointed 3 special counsel, as is my right to do, paid them all the same hourly rate. They only attacked one. I hired one white woman, a good personal friend and great lawyer, a superstar, I tell you. I hired one white man, brilliant, my friend, and a great lawyer. And I hired one black man, another superstar.
Okay, I've been wanting to talk about this, so I'm glad that she brought this up. What was Nathan a superstar at? I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm not trying to get it. I'm not trying to be juvenile humor. What was Nathan a superstar at? Yes, Victoria, this is part of her prayer. Y'all got to go back and watch this. This thing right here was really, I know why Sadao, Grandpa and Boots and Ashley all latched onto this prayer. I went back and watched it. It is a dumpster fire. But I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be juvenile and kindergarten in my humor. But what was Nathan a rock star at? I'm not trying to be funny as it relates to his job. Because remember, he was a magistrate judge dealing with misdemeanors, never felonies, never RICO, never anything of this magnitude. What was he a rock star at? I for the life of me. And when you go back and realize that so many people could have been, when she interviewed a former governor to be the the special prosecutor. She interviewed another really high tier person to be special prosecutor, and they both said, nah, I'm good. And then she just runs over and gets her boyfriend. But what was he good at, though? That's the thing. I really want somebody to hammer that home. Y'all are real kindergarten in this chat. Y'all need to stop. See, I knew I shouldn't ask this question. I was trying to be like above tier. Now y'all done drug me down to locker room humor. Y'all are wild. I was trying to be serious. Some of y'all need help. But really, Q, this thing is a prayer. You know what? I might have to pull it up and just, this thing is allegedly a prayer that she wrote to God. It is the craziest thing. It was bad, but then I went back and really paid attention to it. I'm like, this is ridiculous. What in the world are you doing? It is the craziest thing. I've never thought that anybody, again, it's like a stump speech meets Mama, I didn't do it versus I'm so great and I'm calling it a prayer. It is the craziest thing. And y'all need to stop in this. Y'all need to stop in this chat. Y'all need to stop. Maybe that's it. Maybe this is it. He wears really nice suits. And I think I've heard lots of people compliment him on his suits. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's what he's a rock star at. I don't know. Okay, let's go.
A great friend.
A friend?
And a great lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lord, they gonna be mad when I call them out on this nonsense. First thing they say, oh, she gonna play the race card now. But no, God, isn't it them who's playing the race card when they only question one? Isn't it them playing the race card when they constantly think, I need someone from some other jurisdiction in some other state to tell me how to do a job I've been doing almost 30 years. God, why don't they look at themselves and just be honest? I mean, can't they keep it 100 with themselves? Why are they so surprised that a diverse team that I assembled, your child, can accomplish extraordinary things? God, wasn't it them that attacked this lawyer of impeccable credentials? The black man I chose has been a judge more than 10 years, run a private practice more than 20, represented businesses in civil litigation. I ain't done, y'all.
None of those are...
as a prosecutor, a criminal defense lawyer, special assistant attorney general.
But none of those are, notice she's trying to give Nathan's bona fides. She's not giving the white man or the white woman's bona fides. But none of those things are to the magnitude that he's a rock star at this particular task. Somebody said, drop the chat. Look, come on. Here, you know what? We're gonna take a kindergarten break real quick. I'm just pulling them up, y'all. I'm asking, what was Nathan a rock star at? And you all went off the rails. I'm just gonna pull them up. I'm not gonna read them. I'm not gonna say anything because y'all are out of control. Right, like right. He was a temporary judge. He's never even a full-time judge. Nathan the traffic tickets. I mean, for real. Y'all are wild. He's a freeloading wannabe player. Why are y'all like this? Why are you like this? Oh my gosh. I saw one. He's a superstar at cheating on his wife. My goodness, in the morning. I was really trying to be serious. That's the bad thing. Like, I was really, truly, as I was saying it, I was like, wait, this is going to go left. And y'all, it went left. Oh my gosh. I mean, really, I was not trying to be crass. He got the wardrobe. Now he needs the Cadillac. Y'all said he had a Porsche. So, I mean, maybe he's a new kind of Mac. All right. I don't, let's see. All right. So that's what I dropped, Jackson. That's what I dropped right there. Cause y'all went wild on me. Y'all went wild on me real quick. All right, let's get this done. Cause this is real quick. This is the end of it right here.
One Chief Justice Robert Benham Award from the State Bar of Georgia. You know, they ain't just giving this to black men. How come, God, the same black man I hired was acceptable when a Republican in another county hired him and paid him twice the rate? Oh, y'all ain't hear me.
This is something else. I got to pull in. Like, this is double speak. Twice the rate of what? Twice the rate of what? Because please remember, Nathan Wade was making more than Fani Willis, his boss. So what was the rate? Because she said that she paid them all the same. She didn't. Nathan made more than the other two DAs that she had hired, whatever, special prosecutors that she had. He made more than them on an hourly level, but even more than that, that's uncommon, by the way, to get an hourly rate. Usually you get a contract. But even more than that, she says that he made the same rate of double the rate of what? Double the rate of whom? That makes no sense. But again, that's why this church speech really got so much shine during the disqualification hearing. Let's finish, Jason.
In another county, the elected official has the authority to pay him twice the rate. Why is the white male Republican's judgment good enough, but the black female Democrats not? Now, please hear me. I'm not criticizing his judgment. The people of his county elected him to make that decision. In fact, let me put it on the record. He's someone I respect because he was always willing to hire diversity. He was just looking for quality. I don't care political party. They care about it.
I guarantee that's not true.
My only question is, why is it questioned me?
In his ruling, the judge wrote that Willis's comments at the church about the case were legally improper and warned of a potential gag order against her in the future.
All right. So I just want to let y'all see that. If y'all want, I'll go back and we can do the church speech. It is really problematic. If y'all want, I will absolutely pull it in. Not today. Maybe we'll do that one tomorrow. Or I'm supposed to be doing a live stream with Chad Jackson tonight. If not, if he falls through or whatnot, I'll go back through it because it's really problematic. I'm like, I don't think people realize just how bad the church speech, the infamous church speech, really was. I think we knew it was something going on. Like, I don't know if that's a good thing. No, it really was bad. It really was. So if y'all want, let me know. Yeah, I mean, and mind you, Big Bethel needs to be ashamed of themselves. I hope that they are reflecting on allowing politicians in the pulpit, unqualified politicians, because she shouldn't have been in the pulpit at all, but in the pulpit whatsoever. Because this is what you get. This is what you get when you don't guard the pulpit. Now, I apologize, Kenya from California. You said that you worked at Clark, and I'm sorry, right here. I didn't. You're right. See, Nathan been going around. Nathan been around. I heard this as well, that here in Cobb County, that's why he was getting paid so much, because it was another one of his girlfriends. But besides that, you said you worked at Clark Atlanta under doing grants for the government. I thought I saw that. And is that common for them to require some kind of receipts and forms and reports when you receive government money to a college or to an entity like that? Kenya, I saw it. I'm trying to find where you actually commented that. Hopefully I didn't misrepresent you. I'm trying to find where you are. I saw it and I don't see where it was. All right. Hopefully I didn't misrepresent you. If I did, if you did say that, Kenya, if you could just comment, is that common to, if you receive, oh, okay, here we go. I used to work for Title III grants at Clark Atlanta University. Clark Atlanta University is a part of the Atlanta University Center, where Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Spelman, and Morris Brown are located in the Intertheological Seminary. And so this is one of our sister and brother schools. And so is it common then? You have to submit a federal grant line item report quarterly and annually. So it is, so it's not uncommon. So what, if I'm understanding this correctly, Kenya, and please, feel free to tell me I'm reading too much into it. What Jim Jordan is asking from Fani Willis is kind of normal, if I'm understanding that correctly. Is that right? I think it sounds like what Jim Jordan is asking for, because I read through the report, the complaint that Jim Jordan sent to Fani initially, and it seems like stuff that you're supposed to be turning in on a regular basis. So if you said quarterly or monthly or annually, it would make sense. Like, oh yeah, you got to send the receipts, how you spent this money. That kind of made sense to me. All right, so I can't stand you, God's fancy girl. I'm not putting that up on the screen. You crazy. All right, I'm gonna just let this play, because this is the infamous Zoom call where the electorates were talking about why they did not certify the election here in Georgia. Oh, real quick. It's mandatory. Jordan is requesting basic items. There we go. It didn't seem like something that was like out of the ordinary. Like you should have had this report if you were doing the right thing. But again, the whistleblower was bringing the fact that they were buying computers and other things with the money and not using it correctly. So, and I'm sure they're probably not using a lot of other ways as well. But here goes the Georgia Election Board talking about why they did not certify the election.
Me initially to have concern about everything was much earlier in 2020. And I can't remember exactly when I began. I started looking at our voter rolls. And, I did, some fairly simplistic research on the population of Fulton County, Georgia. And what I found out, and of course started pressing that with the elections department, through subsequent monthly meetings, et cetera, was that the numbers that I was able to ascertain, we had more voters on the active voter rolls than we did of the population of the entirety of Fulton County, and then extrapolating for those of voting age. So that became a major concern of mine, and frankly, lasted throughout and continued even after.
All right, so first problem, they had more people on the voting rolls than they had citizens able to vote, in the voting age rather. But hey, let's throw RICO charges at Trump.
The 2020 election. So that was a big issue. And of course, inside that 2020 timeframe, really there was nothing done to, wasn't time, and I understand all of that, but there was nothing done to answer my questions on that. And that I thought, well, look, it's only fair to the voters of Fulton County that, we're having clean voter rolls here, so that nobody's vote, is disparaged because, somebody may have come in and voted that frankly, legally should not be able to. So I think that's very, very important for them to be Fulton County or anywhere in the country. But from that, in the 2020 election itself, I had and other board members had requested that we obtain the chain of custody documentation from the department. And
so chain of custody, that just means that when something is passed from one person, there's a form that they sign saying, I pass this to James Hicks. When James Hicks passes it to Roseanne Bright, he signs off that I pass it to Roseanne Bright. And then when Roseanne Bright passes it to Michelle Combs, she signs off, passes to Michelle Combs. Pretty simple, makes a lot of sense. I mean, this right here is very comical. I don't know if it was 113% voter turnout, but it was definitely a high number, which just seems very weird. It seems very weird. All right, let's go.
None of that was ever delivered. It was not delivered at the time of request leading up to the election, and was certainly not given. We weren't giving any. Was given nothing. Even leading up to this certification.
Let me interrupt you right there, Mr. Wingate, and ask you to explain for the committee what you mean by chain of custody documents.
Okay. The election staff, we had many components in many areas where absentee by mail ballots were being delivered to, and then picked up and then centralized to the processing center. And then, of course, there's documentation so that whoever is handing those envelopes, in that case, off to, then it's there to sign off that they've delivered to this person, and the transportation or transport of those documents, which goes on daily, in case you're not familiar, in the election cycle. And then once they are delivered to the location that they're destined to, there is another signature required on a document that shows that, where it was picked up, driven to, delivered to, and then signed off on as received. And this is going on for multiple locations daily. And, in terms of the memory cards that are being delivered so that they can be kept, in security, there's the same level chain of custody documentation that is delivered for all of the memory cards coming in from early voting locations, and of course on election day from each of the precincts.
All right.
So that's fundamentally what that encompasses.
All right, that's great. Thank you very much. I interrupted you to get that, so pick back up where you were talking about asking for and not receiving chain of custody documents.
Okay, well, that, since we asked and did not receive any of it, that to me is just one reason. Well, how can I trust, as a board member to certify this election when I cannot receive even a sampling, anything at all with regards to chain of custody documents? So that was just another one of the things in my mind leading up to certification that was something that certainly was not fulfilled. There was also for that election the advent of this whole Dropbox circumstance was unveiled, and then we had I think Fulton County, we had like 36 or so drop boxes located around the county, and these drop boxes at that particular point were set outside of an early voting location, which means that they're in the elements. They're 24 hours a day, but there were surveillance cameras as required that supposedly were operating 24/7 so that they could be monitored, and anybody tried to do any damage or anything nefarious to any of those locations, that could be looked at, and hopefully somebody sent out there to secure the situation. But we'd ask for not every surveillance tape, but ask for to see surveillance tapes on a basically, whatever. Just give us some samplings of that so we can take a look at it, because I knew that this was going to be an important issue because of all the hullabaloo that any of us that were alive in those days, was witnessing as being an issue. And from that request, again, to just, the way in which it turned out, there was never one surveillance tape, an inch of footage that was ever delivered to the board. And if it was delivered to anybody, it certainly was not any board member that I was aware of or made me aware of. So that was what was another issue. The other issue we had down here was this whole questioning of ballots underneath a table and then being pulled out on election night, excuse me, at State Farm Arena. Well, we did see on television, by the way, we did see that surveillance tape. And of course, I, as a board member and knowing most all of those people who were in that room that night, I didn't make any judgment as to what was going on. I had no basis to do that. But I did see it. And of course, I asked the questions of our director. And this was, I believe, the day following Election Day. And, his response was, well, he just hasn't had time to look into this, but he will and get back to us. Well, there was nothing ever gotten back to, at least to me as a board member, that had any explanation of that election night at State Farm Arena. And we got to certification, and there was still no response to that. Did not know, still being investigated exactly. Well, I think the director, in my opinion, and still believe that to this day, could have, stated, look, I've talked to everybody, and this is what transpired. I firmly believe that should have been done by the then director, but it was not. And the last thing was, well, not the last thing, but the big, what I call the 4 or 5 things that prevented me from certifying was.
Okay, so they didn't have a change of command. They didn't give surveillance of the drop boxes. There was, oh my gosh. Oh, when you do I forgot that I had my reactions turned on. Okay, they didn't give a chain of command. There wasn't a surveillance of the drop boxes. There was the digital cards. They had no chain of command there. Watch this last one right here. This one right here was just like, yo, man, we are in trouble, man.
We had such a huge number of absentee by mail ballots. And those ballots, we as the department and the board, and then the board of commissioners who has to approve, certain expenditures, because it was, becoming very, very clear that there was going to be a larger amount of absentee by mail ballots this election year than by far than in previous years. So they determined a system that is called Bluecrest. And the Bluecrest platform primarily was an absentee by mail or a paper ballot processing application. And that would, scan in the outer oath envelopes. It would open them. It would then pull them out. It would flatten them, as they call it, and then put them in bundles for, for later processing and scanning. Part of that, or one of the applications or elements of that Bluecrest platform, was an electronic signature verification component.
Look at this. Watch this.
And of course, we all, as that was reported, we all thought that was going to be up and running, and how, how exactly that the department, the people there for managing the absentee by mail ballot processing would have a very fine function in the electronic signature verification component. Well, as I recall, I believe that time frame was in October at the board meeting for October, I had asked the question, where are we with regards to the functionality of the electronic signature verification component? And I was told that the technicians from Blue Crest were in our building that day, and that they were working to functionalize the electronic signature verification component.
Okay, functionality and functionalize. What's the plain English meaning of that?
Watch this.
Meaning getting it to work.
Thank you.
If that makes sense. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was unclear. That they were in there to make the thing work.
Okay.
And, we certainly, as we would let, the board meeting concluded, we went on, but after the fact, we were not told in between that October date and then, of course, about a month later, the election itself. At least I was not told that they did not get it to work. So, somewhere along the line, and I am sorry, I can't remember exactly when it was, but I had asked the question, well, what did we do for signature verification? And the comment I got back was, which frankly at that time floored me, was, well, we didn't do any.
So they didn't verify the signatures of mail-in ballots. The machinery that was supposed to sort through them and verify wasn't working. So they did not verify mail-in ballots. And so when Trump said he had some questions about the election and the votes, he gets brought up on RICO.
And I remember I forget where I was, I was on a phone call. I forget exactly. And I apologize. It's been so long. But, I do remember that comment that, we didn't do any. Now, of course, I took that saying, all right, well, by law, you've got to do signature verification. You've got to at least have somebody looking at this. And one side of that is that whomever you have that is looking at is supposed to be, verifying signature, that if there is no signature on the oath envelope, then how are you curing it, or what are you doing with them? And I remember going down to, on from that and said, well, there weren't many, so we just sent them back out, and if they reply on time, then they'll get their vote counted. Well, I thought that was a little weak, but anyway, that's as I recall, that's what I was told.
All right, sir.
Those are primarily, ladies and gentlemen, that was primarily in my mind and in my reasoning, why I was not comfortable, in certifying.
All right, sir. And what was the vote on certification? What was the vote total on certification when the board voted?
Well, there were two in the board. There's two Republicans, two Democrats, and then supposedly, which doesn't always work that way, an independent or a nonpartisan chair. The vote was 3 to certify and 2 against.
And that was for both certification votes?
That's yes. Yeah.
All right. And do you have an understanding of how much the Blue Crest system cost the county?
Yeah, and again, I can't be precise, but it seems to me like the entire platform was a little over $1 million, $1 million.
And
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to clear my throat. To your knowledge, did they ever get it working?
To my knowledge, no. It obviously did not work leading up to and going through any of the 2020 elections, and it was not. I don't believe I don't believe it was working either. For the runoffs that we had coming out of 2020 elections.
Did they ever get it working in a later election while you were on the board?
To my knowledge, no.
Do you have?
I'm sorry. We had asked a couple of times and had gotten a response that no, but there was no pressure on them after the 2020 election and runoffs to do that.
Wow. Our election system is jacked up. Oh my gosh. All right. So he was just from the election board just explaining why they did not certify, or rather why they had problems certifying the election, and things like drop boxes not being verified, not verifying signatures on mail-in ballots, all of this craziness. And again, would that not cause anybody to ask questions? Would that not cause anybody to say, hey, something's going on with this election and whatnot like that? I mean, it just seems like it would be the natural response. But now when he says that, somebody says that and they end up getting thrown in RICO charges. I mean, great day, man. I mean, sure, there's a little bit more than that. I'm oversimplifying, I'm sure. I know. But man, that's this craziness. And I don't have any hope that this case is going to see the light of day. But I'm going to end because I see a lot of y'all talk about churches. I see y'all talking about the churches because Big Bethel got in here and messed it all up by allowing Fani to get on stage. Oh, my goodness. And like I said, if y'all want me to, I will gladly go over it with y'all because it's really bad. It really is. But I thought this would end on a depressing good note. I don't know if that's a good one. Like kind of like we just make fun of it. Like it's just, to me, it just makes fun of it. So these are two churches. This is not Easter Sunday, thankfully. So no, Fani wasn't rising from anything like that. But this one right here just was wild. All right, so let's look at these two for, I guess, to end on a lighthearted note, if you will, I guess. We aren't allowed to ask questions anymore. No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Julie Mumford. I think we are quashing political dialogue. But let's just be honest. We live in a culture that does not allow and doesn't like, pushback. Let's just say it like that. If you ask a question about something, you're some kind of phobic. If you don't like something, you're a hater. If you don't agree with this, you're bashing and whatnot like that. When we don't allow conversation where people are just kind of parsing through and getting through thorny topics. That's why I always tell people I think it's good to have dialogue with people who don't agree with you so that you can know that what you believe, you actually have thought about it. Because what ends up happening is you have a lot of people who've never tried, who've never tested, who've never thought about deeply what it is that they believe. It could be what they believe about Thanksgiving dinner, what they think about a particular baseball player, what they think about their faith. They've never actually got in there and kind of had to work it out and argue it out. And what ends up happening is these people don't believe what they believe. And then they go to another environment and then they get shellacked. They go to another environment and they get easily twisted up into a pretzel by a professor, a science professor, their first year in college or whatever like that, because they've never actually thought about what they believe. I don't think that's a good place to be. My 2 cents. But let's bring this in. We got to end on a, I guess, kind of funny, depressing note. I don't know. Let's go.
Thing to God. Unity was purposed by God. Unity was purchased by Jesus.
All right, real quick. I think we all can agree, unity's good. Unity is a good thing. I don't know why he's speaking like that, but let's let that slide. Unity is a good thing. I think we can all agree. You're like, well, Jason, where's Fani going to come into this? Hold tight. Don't worry.
And unity was produced by the Holy Ghost. Did you hear what I just said on this side of the church? When mother and father come together and stick together, that's very good and pleasant. When brother and sister, come together and stick together, that's very good and pleasant. When pastor and congregation and pastor come together and stick together, that's very good and pleasant. When white and black, when blood and crip, and Latin kings, and straight and gay, and Israel and Hamas and Iran come together and stick, it's very good and pleasant. When Fani Willis and Judge Scott McAfee come together and stick, it's very good and pleasant.
What? I mean, I was kind of giving him a little bit of grace with the, the Bloods and the Crips and the that I was kind of giving some grace. But where in the world did he get Fani and Judge McAfee? Again, this one you're just doing too much.
Some things are very good, but they're not always pleasant. Some things are pleasant, but they're not very good. But I came here to
This
tell
sermon
you,
is not good.
When we have unity, it's very good and pleasant. But we got to come together and stick together.
If you go to a church like that, I'm sorry. That I don't even understand. Now, I was raised in a church like that. I ain't gonna even lie. I was. But I'm sorry. That how did Fani and my guy get into that? How did they get into the sermon, man? Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so terrible, man. But this one is actually worse. Oh my gosh. We're gonna not end on this one, but this is gonna be the last one. Let's go.
I thank God for DA Fani T. Willis.
Oh my gosh.
For standing up for herself.
And I'm going to say this again. Christian pastors do themselves a serious disservice by elevating cultural people who with bad morals. Because again, why is Fani Willis why is she in the zeitgeist? Because she was having an extramarital affair with a married man. So to be in the pulpit and say, I'm proud of Fani Willis, and you see that there's women sitting behind him. So I'm going to go on a limb and say that he has a large majority of females in his church, because that's sadly what a lot of black churches are comprised of. So you're telling these women that Fani Willis's behavior does not need to be rectified, does not need to be brought under the submission of Christ, does not need to be straightened out, does not need to be called out. It's perfectly fine. My pastor said he's okay with it. Let's go.
Now, some of us, we in the judgment seat. She shouldn't did this and she shouldn't.
What?
Well, let me speak about righteousness.
What should she not have done, sir? See, that's what I'm saying. Like, no. What is it that they're saying she should not have done? Let's just tease it out a little bit. Makes a little bit more sense.
Let me speak about righteousness. Elder Smith, if what they done was righteous, why was she the only one being investigated? I see some judges in the house today.
Wait, what?
If it's for righteousness' sake, then everyone that is going to take, amen, a role in this in this trial should have been investigated, amen. And now are we going to investigate every DA in the country, amen? When somebody don't like, y'all acting kind of scared, amen.
No, because we don't agree with you.
How in the world you going to investigate the DA and let the offender alone? He is the front runner for the Republican Party, am I right? We know what he done. We know what he done. And they still support him. All I'm saying, if you're a child of God, support your brothers and sisters no matter what. Somebody say, I know I'm right about it. Don't be getting on that bandwagon.
I'm sorry.
Thank God for.
Oh, I did. Okay, so yeah. I'm just saying. Like that was dumb. And there's a lot of problems with that ideology. Support them no matter what. No, if they're wrong, you have to tell them that they're wrong and say, hey, what you're doing is wrong. And this one right here is demonstrably wrong. It's not just, he makes it sound like they just investigate him just because of GP, not because of something that was truly something that was done that was wrong. But I don't doubt, because most people are ignorant to things like that. And he would just say that. So look what we got. Look what we got. I'm telling you right here, that was just some bad stuff. But I thought we'd end on a lighter note, just kind of rather than ending on that horrible note about the election process. Like, good gracious, man, we are in trouble. Yes, I'm sorry. It was dumb. That was dumb. I'm sorry. That's why we can't. I can't with black churches. I'm telling you, man, we are our own worst enemies. We are our own worst enemies. And I will say this also. Rarely do you see a church pastor of any shape, size, or stripe get in trouble if he preaches what's actually in the book. Most of the time, it is when they start doing social commentary from the pulpit. Now, once they do that, that's usually when the wheels on the bus come off, and then they're in trouble. But when they stick to what's like, this is what's in the book, and I'm not going to talk about what's going on in the zeitgeist, what's going on in the culture, but just stick with what's in the book, usually they're going to be in good position. And like my rule of thumb is you should not be able to tell when a sermon was preached. So if a sermon was preached the eve of, well, there's some instances like the week of 9/11. I'm pretty sure those sermons were heavy on that discussion. So I got you there. Or if there was something, a major war situation, I can kind of give a little latitude. But for the most part, you should not know that a sermon was given in 2024 before the election. There should be no flavoring of that in your sermon unless it's part of what's actually in the text that you're preaching. If that be the case, then maybe you can mention it, but not much. And I think that usually is a good rule to keep people out of trouble, in my opinion. Just my little 2 cents. Y'all, I really do appreciate you. I really do. I want to say that we're going to land this plane because I hear Chief Executive Second Born moving around in the kitchen, and I told her we're going to go run errands today. So I don't have any recordings today. We had a large recording yesterday at the studio, and I might go, if Chad Jackson wants to do the live stream tonight, I might go do it from Podium Studios, and I'll make sure it's on my community page so you all will know as well. But so I'm gonna get ready to land this plane. I thank y'all so much, every last one of you, not only for hanging out in the live chat, not only for the super chats and the such like that, but for just the fact that you all make this a pleasant experience. If you all weren't here, I'm telling you right now, probably wouldn't be doing it, but if you weren't here, I'd just be talking to myself. So I'm glad that y'all are here. I'm glad you all had such a great time. I love seeing the commentary and the such going on in the live chat. All that kind of stuff like that. I'm working on my next closing out video. So I did the other one before, and you all seem to like that one a lot. And I'm working on another closing out video so we can kind of end the show give you time to kind of wrap up. If y'all want, I can end it as like a 9-minute closeout video. You can kind of see where my studio is and what I do there at the studio. So if y'all want me to, just, chime in the chat, say, closing video or, goodbye, one or the other. Either way, if you're interested, like, well, what is Jason talking about? He has his own studio. I have a studio that a rental studio that I rent out to people to use to do their podcasting and digital content. And I have a video that kind of explains what I do and gives you a chance to kind of watch and see what I'm doing, and then also close out the live chat so everybody can pack up and leave when they're ready. But if you want to, let me know. I'll gladly go over. I'll drop that video. What do you mean? What happened? I'm glad that y'all like the best chat. Let me tell y'all are the best for sure. What happened, Caustic Chameleon? Did I miss something? This right here, Arthur, I'm glad that you sent it to Fani, because I'm telling you right now, that thing right there, that sermon, preaching, prayer thing was terrible. All right, I'm going to do the closing video. I'm going to pull it up, let y'all watch it. If you're interested, feel free. It's just, again, I'm going to use it as like the closing out so you can kind of finish up talking and such like that in the chat. And at the end of that, the live stream will be over. So here we go. Everybody, thank you so much. I'll see you all real soon, Lord willing. See you to the front of the building. You come to our main door, and I really like this door. It is so classy. This is our lobby, and we share it with our neighbors, of course. So there's a great big screen right there. One day I'm going to actually start using that to broadcast what's being recorded in the studio. So if you're sitting in the lobby, you can see what's going on in the studio. And you walk in, here's my neighbors. Got some great neighbors. There's the powder room and restroom right there. But right behind you, as you turn around, is Podium Studios. So let's go check it out. Let's see what's going on in there. And when you walk in, you immediately see the control center, the producer's desk. You see right there, we have another big screen. You can play videos as well as use it as a monitor. We use it as a monitor sometimes. Here's our producer's station, producer's desk. Usually come in and turn on the computer and get the day started. You see we have a Mac Studio M3 as well as the Elgato Stream Deck. We have 3 cameras. That big monitor right there is the producer's monitor, but have no fear because on the other side is another monitor for our guests. Here, of course, are 3 angled cameras. This is our confidence monitor or monitor for our guests. You can use it as a teleprompter, another video screen. And here at the desk, the infamous table, are 4 mics, 4 chairs. We have a great set of lights. I'll show you how those lights work in a moment. And of course, the big screen in the back. We can put whatever it is that your content on that screen back there. And here we have our Rodecaster. We control all the audio there. We have our A10 Mini that we use to switch between different camera angles. I need to actually turn on the cameras real quick, so let's check that out. Usually when we first walk in every morning, we do these things, turn on everything to make sure everything is working properly. And now we are ready to go. This guy right here decided he did not want to come on. He had a long weekend, I guess. I don't know. And we sit on down at the producer's station. You can see this is where the producer's angle is. And now our ATEM is on, so we're turning it. You can switch the different camera angles, and a producer can see what he's recording. Now, the neat thing is on the confidence monitor on the other side, the guests can also see what the producer is recording. So they'll see who's being focused on when. So it gives them an opportunity to know what they're supposed to be doing. And that is our sign. Our sign is back. And really proud of that thing. It looks fantastic. And you'll get another chance to check it out in a moment. So of course we have 2 main lights and a hair light. And let's turn the lights out and kind of get a feel for it. Turn on our on-air sign for the ambiance. So now you can see here, this is what the guests could see if we wanted them to be able to see themselves, so they can make sure they're paying attention, make sure their face is right, or make sure they're close enough to their mic, anything like that. It's just another way to give them an awareness of what's going on. And that's me. So of course we do have 4 microphones, and each microphone has its own set of headphones, as well as a power strip in the middle for your laptop or any kind of equipment that you might have or you might need. We also use a tablet. This is our iPad. We use that when we're recording for ourselves so that I can control it from there. This is the side studio, and this has always been under development. So it's still under development. I'm going to get it done. I promise. And I want to be able to have 2 guests be able to sit here with one another and face one another. And so sourcing the right kind of chairs has been a little bit of a challenge. And keeping this room from becoming a stopgap has also been a challenge. But so far, I feel really good about it. The sound in there is pretty good. And I think it'll be really great once we add the lights, the cameras, and the chairs. It'll really look nice. So one thing, we have lights in here that weren't turned on yet. So let me get those plugged in for you real quick. All right, so right now they're blue, and we're gonna go real quick and I'm gonna show you just how I manage all the lights, because we can change the lights to whatever color that fits your scheme, whatever fits your ideas, whatever like that. And so this is how it would look from the back of the house, of course. And right here, I have an older phone that I've connected all the lights to, and I'm able to take that phone, plug in, tap in they're grouped. So the main house lights, the main studio are grouped, and the side studio are grouped. All right, so now you'll be able to see, notice they were blue, now they're purplish. So I can change it to whatever color I want. So just use that. This is the side studio. I want them to be green. Bang, now they're green. So go back over here to the main studio. I can do the exact same thing. Want them to be a different color. Your wish is my command. Different color it is. So you want them pink, you want them yellow, whatever your color scheme is. Works out fantastic. Very responsive. And feel good about those. I really like the way that came out. This app was fantastic. It's really a great tool to add to that because it really helps change, and everybody's feel and vibe might be different. So whatever it is that you're trying to convey, we can let those lights help you out a lot. I'm kind of biased to green, as you all have kind of probably picked up. But so that's those little lights right there. There, again, that's what they do. Now, we also have, one of the things I want to point out, like I said before, is each microphone has its own special set of headphones. And we have the over-ear kind as well as the in-ear monitor style that like musicians use in concerts and whatnot. So that's a great thing that we have. And then the very last thing is all of the lights in the building or in the studio are connected to a Google Home. So I can just tell the Google to turn off the lights, and it'll turn off all the lights. Or I can tell them to turn off the whole studio, and it'll turn off everything in the studio. So when I say, Google, turn on the lights, it turns on the lights. And I say, okay, Google, turn off the lights. It'll turn off the lights. But the podium sign is connected differently. So we gave that one its own special indicator. So that way that can stay on if we wanted it to stay on, to create some kind of ambiance or whatever like that. And you may have noticed that the lights under the table did not go off. And you also notice the lights under the table are their own color. The lights under the table are a different brand, so we weren't able to get them connected to the same light source that we're using for the side in the main studio. We'll get those changed eventually. So that's how that works. The side studio, hopefully next time I'll show you something new there, that we've made some changes. And there's our podium sign. Again, super proud of that. It looks fantastic. Let's go ahead and go back out into the hallway and wrap up this tour. So I really like this lobby. I keep saying that, but I mean it a lot. This is a fantastic look, and it really sets a nice tone. It's super comfortable. So when we have a lot of guests, they can just sit out here, relax, work on work and whatnot, and everybody's in a good to come in and do their actual recording. Our neighbors are super responsive and kind, so it works out very well. This is a great place. I'm glad you're able to do it with us.